Good morning, everyone. Arianna Poindexter here at the Action News 5 digital desk. Today is Thursday, July 16th. It is 9:02 this morning. We're going to get a check of some of the headlines that we are following here at Action News 5 on the digital desk. All right, so first, we had some breaking news that happened this morning. Memphis police responded to a shooting on Travis Road. This is near T.O. Fuller State Park shortly before 2 a.m. Let's take a look at some video from the scene here. We're working to learn if anyone was hurt and whether officers have a suspect. Details are limited right now, but of course, we do have a team working with Memphis police, asking questions, working to learn more. As soon as we get that information, we will be sure to pass that along to you. And two men will be in court this morning after allegedly shooting a Memphis father outside of a Burger King, and his son was accused of stealing an Apple Watch. You may remember this story from not long ago. Dale Towns and Trevor Young, they have a bail hearing this morning at 9. Police say they confronted the victim's son outside the crosstown Burger King. He then went inside to get his father, who came out and punched Towns. Officers say that is when Towns shot the father, who is now recovering in non-critical condition. Towns is charged with attempted murder, and Young is charged with aggravated assault. And the city of Memphis is declining to comment on a potential ethics investigation into a city council member. So we have since learned that Councilman J.B. Smiley and Administrator Ashley Hayes, they are not under investigation. We also asked if Councilwoman Jana Swearingen-Washington is under investigation as well, which is the city's ethics officer says she's not authorized to disclose. However, City Attorney Tanera Gibson has recused herself and hired attorney Brian Fawnin in this investigation. And the family of an Ole Miss football player who was killed outside a Cordova home in 2025 has filed a wrongful death suit. Here's a look at that suit, or the football player, Corey Adams Jr. The civil suit was filed by his father against homeowners Calvin and Julia Wooten and the party's alleged organizer, Tyler Wooten. A subdivision homeowners association member is also named in the suit. According to the complaint, the pool party at the home on Fern Glade Cove on July 19th, 2025 had more than 100 people in attendance. The lawsuit claims the Wootens allowed the party to take place and failed to limit attendance, provide security, or screen for weapons. Adams' death remains unsolved. FBI Nashville says a reward for more than $20,000 is being offered for anyone with any information. And courtrooms at 201 Poplar will be closed again today for almost a week straight. Now, of course, this is because of some issues with the building, specifically the Shelby County General Sessions Courts and Memphis Municipal Courts on the lower level of the building. Some hearings, like in custody arraignments and bail hearings, will still happen. Crews are still making repairs from flooding late last month. Despite being closed, they are conducting some business depending on the case and the courtroom division. And a grand jury will investigate the death of Nolan Wells, a teenager who died on Horn Island earlier this month. The district attorney tells the Wells family that she will turn the case over to a grand jury once investigators finish collecting all evidence. Wells' family attorney, Ben Crump, says the meeting with the DA was respectful, but stresses the family still does not have all the answers that they are looking for. Wells' homegoing celebration is set for Monday at Center Point Church in Ocean Springs. And a former Collierville police officer is accused of attacking his girlfriend. He could lose his police decertification today. Here's a look at David Haley, who we're talking about here. This happened back in March. He was arrested for domestic assault in Fayette County. Deputies say Haley and his girlfriend were drinking, then got into an argument. They say Haley left, came back, and the couple started attacking each other. Haley resigned later that month. And Memphis police are searching for the suspect in a deadly hit and run involving a pedestrian. Memphis police say that this happened on March 23rd last year around 2 a.m. at North Hollywood Street. Investigators believe the vehicle involved is a black Nissan Murano SUV with temporary tags, tinted windows, a broken or partially missing headlight, and damage on the passenger side. If you have any information, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at number 901-528-CASH. All right, let's talk about schools here. Fewer Memphis Shelby County school students were suspended last year, and more students were in the classroom. That's according to MSCS officials and some data that they recently released. In the 2024 school year, there were nearly 62,000 disciplinary referrals. Last school year, that dropped to just over 37,000. The district also saw a drop in suspensions over the last 2 years. Looking at the attendance rate for Memphis Shelby County schools, it has not changed much. In the 2023-24 school years, the rate held at 91.4%. Last year, that number climbed to just under 92%. Well, the Arkansas Department of Health says 16 cases of the parasite that causes severe intestinal issues have been reported in Arkansas. Cyclosporiasis is the infection that spreads across the country, infecting 34 states and more than 7,000 people so far. If you were infected with the parasite, it can take 2 to 14 days to get sick. Doctors recommend that you stay away from bagged salad completely, but if you still want to eat vegetables, you should clean them and cook them to at least 150 degrees. Well, R&B singer R. Kelly is requesting help from the Trump White House. He has formally asked President Donald Trump to commute his 30-year sentence. Now, Kelly is behind bars in North Carolina for his 2021 and 2022 convictions on sex trafficking, racketeering, child pornography, and enticement charges. An attorney also made a public plea for a presidential pardon, but one was never formally filed. There's no word yet on the Trump administration on this request. Meanwhile, House Republicans unveiled a nearly $95 billion emergency spending package to cover costs tied to the Iran war. Now, the proposal includes up to $73 billion for the Pentagon and national security agencies. It also includes $12 billion in aid for struggling farmers. The plan is expected to face resistance because of the lack of spending cut proposals to offset the cost. And with the war in the Middle East continuing, oil prices are climbing back up. So how does that impact you? Let's take a look at some numbers here from the Mid-South. First, I got to tell you the national average for a gallon of gas this morning, $3.94. That's a 9-cent increase from yesterday. Tennessee drivers are paying around $3.55 a gallon. In Mississippi, it's at $3.49, and Arkansas drivers are paying $3.55. Meanwhile, President Trump will talk about free and fair elections today in a primetime speech that is scheduled for later tonight. Now, his administration is zeroing in on voting machine security, along with alleged foreign efforts to influence elections. Midterm elections are less than 4 months away. The president's speech is set for 8 p.m. Looking ahead now to early voting, which is kicking off in Tennessee tomorrow, and it's going to be a very full ballot here. Among the main elections are county positions like county mayor and county sheriff. You also have the primaries for governor, U.S. Senate, U.S. House, and other state positions as well. There are also several suburban races, depending on where you live. You'll have until August 1st to early vote. And remember, you can go to any precinct that's open. Election day is August 6th. Well, civil rights icon Ida B. Wells will be honored today. Mayor Paul Young at Memphis Parks will reopen Ida B. Wells Plaza. Now, it's a corner of Beale and Fourth, which was renamed for Wells back in 2022. Here's a look at that statue that is pretty new. 2 years before that, that is when that statue was unveiled. Wells, a Holly Springs native, was the co-founder of the NAACP, co-owned a newspaper here in Memphis, and launched an anti-lynching crusade here as well. All right, let's talk about sports now. The Memphis Grizzlies will wrap up their summer league schedule tonight versus the Atlanta Hawks. In the last outing, the Grizzlies beat the Warriors 106-85. Memphis has a 2-1 record in Vegas, meaning a win could put them in the summer league playoff semifinals. Tip-off tonight versus the Hawks is set for 7 o'clock. So again, those are a look at some of the top stories and headlines that we were following this morning here on Action News 5. We're going to have much more, including weather and some national headlines, as well as some interviews. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
The Action News 5 digital desk. We obviously do our sort of monthly mayoral segments with some of our suburban mayors here in Shelby County. We've done Maureen Frazier, David Parsons, and now next up to bat is our friend Mayor Mike Palazzolo from the city of Germantown, who 3 weeks ago announced his retirement after 30 years of civil service in many different roles to the city of Germantown. We're happy to have him on and continue to highlight the city of Germantown and what's going on for this month. Mayor Palazzolo, first off, good morning. Let's kind of get off on that foot with the announcement of your retirement. What has it been like to make this announcement and look back on 3 decades of service to the city of Germantown as you get ready for the end of your term in December? Good morning.
Well, good morning, Parker. It's always good to be on Channel 5, and thank you for spotlighting all the suburbs, and thank you for, accenting my 30 years of service here in Germantown. It's been quite a great ride, and our city's in incredibly good shape, great conditions right now, and it was just a good time for me to be able to allow others to step forward and lead, and we have so many things to be proud of: great quality of life, great public safety, great schools, great parks and amenities, and all those are a reflection of so many people that have volunteered in our city. And what encouraged me about our city and its current shape and condition, Parker, is we have a lot of volunteers. We have about 250 that serve on boards and commissions that I once served on over my 30 years. And we have got a great leadership Germantown class. Those applications will be accepted here, I think, in August or September. And so the future is quite bright here in Germantown.
Love that. And we'll finish tooting your horn after this question, but when you look back on those 30 years, what do you see as being some of your crowning achievements in leadership? Obviously, mayor for 12 years, and before that, various roles, alderman, commissioner, as you mentioned. What do you see as some of your crowning achievements in your time with the city?
Well, we all do it together, and so I've had the privilege to be able to help lead. But starting our own school district, doubling our police districts here in the city, starting our own ambulance service, investing millions of dollars into upgrading our park system. All those things have been things that I think all of our citizens can be proud of. And over that time, those are things that we point to. Also, being able to utilize our land appropriately. We're almost built out in our community. We're landlocked, and so we have to be very judicious on how we plan for the future. And I think our city mothers and fathers have done a really good job over the last really 40 years determining what our path will be. So, I feel very, very comfortable in what lies ahead for Germantown.
Well, hopefully that next generation of leadership can rock Searsucker as good as you can, sir. We appreciate that. Let's get into some of the series we've got going on in July. It's hot, but in some days like this that are a little bit cooler, if we can get past the rain, there's some great outdoor opportunities in the city of Germantown. We mentioned Happy Fridays in the Grove. We've got some new murals on the Greenway. I feel like murals are the next fad. It was exposed brick. Now it's murals. We've been talking to other cities that have been doing these mural projects, but let's get into some of the outdoor opportunities that folks kind of exploring out and about on their bike or by foot with their pets in Germantown. There's some great opportunities we've got.
Our park system, we have 30 parks. We have a 15-mile greenway, and on that greenway, as you mentioned, we have launched we have 2 tunnels under our greenway and on Wolf River Boulevard, and one of those has been blessed with public art through our Public Art Commission, and we have murals throughout that pathway that leads you along the Wolf River. It's great for biking and walking and running and jogging. We have recently revamped our C.O. Franklin Park for 2 of the playgrounds there. We have a playground for the littles, and we have a playground for kids 5 to 12, and those were just installed within the last month. C.O. Franklin Park is near our Germantown Charity Horse Show grounds in Old Germantown. Of course, we have our Grove Amphitheater, which is part of GPAC, is open every Friday for happy hour. We have music there in the plaza. Our beverage center is open. They have food trucks. Hundreds of people come to that, even in the hot weather. Also at GPAC this weekend, Parker, we do have the North Mississippi All-Stars are performing Saturday night, and that will be a great show. And I think it's near a sellout. So if you have not secured your tickets, go to GPAC's website and you can see if there's some available. And so those are some of the outdoor activities in our city.
I love that. No, I got to get on. My wife and I are a big fan of GPAC, and gotta hit up the amphitheater now. That sounds like a fun opportunity, especially in the hot weather. Little music, little drink, little food truck. That sounds like a lot of fun. Also, outside, we've got at the end of the month the sidewalk sale. I mean, that's been going on since probably right when you started in office. It's been going on almost 25 years, I believe. Let's let folks know, for those that might be thinking
Well,
sidewalk sale.
and thank you. You know, one of the things we're noted for is a great retail shopping. We have the only Trader Joe's in the region, the only Apple
Yep.
store. And
Yep.
so please come to our city July 24th through the 26th. 9 of our shopping centers will have all worked together through the Germantown Area Chamber of Commerce. We have sidewalk sales. Yes, this started actually when I was chairman of the Chamber of Commerce in 2000, and we had to take a couple of gap years with COVID, and then so that's why we're not 26 years running on that. So there'll be deals at all these shopping centers. They'll have giveaways, a chance to win prizes. It's perfect, Parker, for getting your back to school shopping started. And so please take advantage of that. That's throughout all of the Central Business District and part of our 4 business nodes in our city. You can go to the Chamber's website and see where those deals are located and what shopping centers are participating.
Will do. No, personally, my wife loves going to Saddle Creek, and we've got a 5-year-old who'll be starting kindergarten, so we're with that back to school shopping. So good to know there are some deals out there for parents. So a lot of great stuff happening this July. But I want to go back to just the end of your run in elected office,
Sure.
civil service. You talk about that next generation. You know, what's your message to that younger generation who are beginning to get involved in their community, in their city? This is relevant to Germantown as well as all of our communities in Mid-South. What's your message to encourage folks to get involved in the civil process, whether it's volunteering or running for office? What's your message to aspiring
Sure.
civil servants out there?
Well, we have a program in Germantown called Germantown Volunteer Corps, and so that's through Volunteer Odyssey. So I would just encourage people to take that first step into volunteering. It leads to other leadership opportunities, whether it's volunteering at your local school to help out in the PTA organization, coaching a ball club, getting involved at your church. Then consider maybe going through a leadership program. There's a Leadership Memphis, Leadership Germantown, Leadership Collierville, Bartlett. All those groups can help someone fine tune their leadership. And I would just give the message to the younger generation. It may be changing, but find your way to volunteer. And that is the first step in a leadership path. And don't be afraid to start that. That's where I never thought I would be a mayor, to be honest with you. But when I went through our leadership training class here in Germantown in '96, it inspired me to take a little bit of an additional step forward. So there's our next future mayors. They're somewhere in our city. And I would encourage those folks to just get involved early and get involved often.
Somewhere out there. I love it. Anything else you'd like to touch on for this upcoming month in the city of Germantown before I let you go?
Oh, just come out. Everyone is welcome in our community. We're a community of kindness. And so please stop into Germantown. We have shopping like you would not believe. And so I wish everyone a great, and healthy and safe summer, but come visit us in Germantown. Thank you, Parker.
I can attest firsthand. Great place for shopping. Mayor Mike Palazzolo, City of Germantown. Thanks for coming on, sir. We always appreciate our mayors from our suburbs coming onto the digital desk. We appreciate it, sir. All righty, guys, welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We've got some special guests. They're recurring guests, but first-time guests for me. It's your guys. It's Josh and Dalton with Lifetime out of Collierville, giving us some helpful tips on how we can fully enjoy the summer, taking care of our bodies and making sure that we're making the most of it. Guys, first and foremost, Andrew is moved on to the greener pastures of schedules, if you will. So you get myself, and maybe occasionally you'll get Arianna Poindexter, Deja Brown, as we sort of divide the duties of this desk that Andrew held. My gosh, big shoes, literally and figuratively, to fill. So first off, guys, good morning. Give us a quick rundown about the summertime. You know, kids are getting out of school. With that extra devotion to, you know, having to take care of the kids, for adults even, it's hard to keep to those routines that you might have been accustomed to during the school year. So what's always something that you see that's just indicative of the summer and an easy reminder to give folks on how they can continue their health journey during these warmer months? Good morning.
Good morning. We've got a few things we want to talk about. We know with the summertime, scheduling can be weird for people. So there's a few simple things that we want to go over. One of them we'd like to talk about is focusing on increasing your protein intake. This alone is going to be a big difference to helping with digestion, energy levels, sustainable energy throughout the day. Typically, we'd say 30 grams of protein per meal is a great goal to have. A pretty simple way to follow that is usually about a serving size that's about the size of your palm is going to be around 30 grams of protein there.
Right, and the protein intake, very important, but you know, there's a lot of people who are going to the pool, and as a guy who swam D2 swimming, you feel like you're in the water, you're cooled off, you might not feel as dehydrated as your body actually is. For those who are out cutting the grass, for those who are playing sports outside, hydration is such an important thing, but also like being able to navigate electrolytes and actual retention of fluid and making sure you're properly hydrated. And so let's talk just first and foremost. I said kind of off camera, some of this feels like very duh advice, but it's so important to stick to it, because if you don't, it can have impacts on your health in a negative way. So let's go into hydration real quick. What are the things that you see this summer, and what's your go-to advice for folks in the summer when it comes to hydration?
So yeah, hydration is a key part of health and fitness, especially during these hot times. Water important. My suggestion is try to get some water, drink water every hour, or give or take, try to go through about a bottle. But something that can help with hydration is that electrolyte replenishment, like you said. Liquid IVs, stuff like that. In fact, we have our own product called Hydrate here at Lifetime. It's electrolytes. You can add that to your water. About 1, maybe 2 bottles of that a day is going to help replenish those electrolytes, help you keep that fluid retention in, and really feel like you're hydrated throughout the rest of the summer.
I love it. And another thing that I don't think we fully appreciate is sleep routine, but in the sense of the wind down method. Me personally, I get off the clock, because I come into work for the morning show at 3 a.m. I get off the clock around noon, but my email is still active because I'm lumped into all of these email chains for stuff happening throughout the day. I don't want to be behind the ball, so I start scrolling through my emails before I go to bed, and I think, I can cut off my phone, I can cut off my brain, I can go to sleep. I regret it every single time, but I do it every single time without fail. So talk about wind down routines, especially in this world where folks, the phone is an appendage of their own body. And so being able to shut that off with enough time to give your brain enough time to properly go into a sleep cycle. Talk about the importance of that, and how to and what are some easy steps that someone can start to implement a wind down routine? Not just in one fell swoop, but gradual changes to where we can get into a healthier habit as we get ready for bed.
Sleep is super crucial for your health and wellness, your mind and your body. So a good way to focus on preparing for a good night's sleep is to mitigate the use of your cell phone, reducing your blue light intake from screens. You could utilize some other things like reading, getting involved in some stretching, yoga. if you were to have a planner or something, if you're checking emails, maybe using a notebook as a planner to prep for your next day would be a good alternative to help you get enough sleep so that you have the energy and focus for the following day.
Simple advice. I wish I could implement it, and I will eventually. We'll get there, guys. But, but folks, this is the kind of expertise you get with Lifetime. Talk about some of the opportunities and the expertise that you offer for members, anyone who might be in the area interested in taking you up. What are some ways that they can get access to Lifetime and really gauge that expertise from a one-on-one perspective from folks like you?
Yeah, so here at Lifetime, we're obviously a pretty local hub, but we do offer, tours, complimentary sessions here and there at Lifetime. Feel free to ever stop on by. We're over here on Houston Levee and Poplar, if you know that locally. Ask for a tour, maybe ask to meet one of the trainers as they take you around the club and see if you got any questions. Feel free to shoot it our way.
Fantastic. It is Josh DiGaetano and Dalton Mabry with Lifetime in Collierville. Simple, easy steps, protein intake, focusing on your hydration, and making sure that you get your sleep routine right. Simple fixes for how we can enjoy our summer. Guys, thanks for always coming on, offering those health advice. We'll see you next time.
Yep, of course.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Yang, can you hear me?
I can.
Wonderful. All right, we will get started.
Still trying to get used to this new background. It's weird.
Fancy schmancy. Okay, we will get started in just a second.
Okay.
See. Wait 1 second. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Arianna Poindexter here. It is 9:34. We've got a topic coming up in an interview that I think most people can relate to, right? It is summer, of course, and it is getting extremely hot outside. Even if you're outside for just a few minutes, you just feel how toasty it can get. And of course, with the rising temperatures, it's important to know how to stay safe when those temperatures do climb. And joining us now from Regional 1 Hospital is Dr. Anna Yang. She's here to help us separate the normal, it's hot outside that we could be experiencing with when we may need to, take things more serious, any signs and things of that nature. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
All right, so first, let's talk about, in general, heat-related illness, right? We talk or we hear about that word often. Can you explain what that is and how we may know that something may be a little more serious?
Yeah, so there's a whole range of heat-related illness. I mean, we have things, as minor as just some, very mild dehydration and feeling warm to, heat exhaustion being, more significant warning signs from the body that this needs to be taken care of quickly. And then all the way down to the most severe with heat stroke, where somebody's body can no longer compensate for the heat outside. And it's gotten to the point where it's affected their brain function and their ability to think and mentally function at all. So there's a huge range of different things.
Absolutely. And Dr. Yang, I want to apologize. I want to take a step back and rewind. Tell us exactly your title and what your everyday work is at Regional 1 Health.
Yeah, no problem. I am an emergency medicine physician and also a family medicine physician as well.
Okay, so I imagine you see a lot of things, especially when it comes to this topic. Have you started to see any heat-related illnesses, or is it still a little too early in the summer for that? What are you seeing right now?
No, it's definitely not too early. I mean, it's the weather's kind of been fluctuating lately, and so what we've been seeing has also been fluctuating. But definitely with the more extreme temperatures, we are seeing a lot of heat-related problems and symptoms. Most of them, fortunately, have been minor and fairly straightforward and simple to correct, and they've generally done really well. But there have been some cases where it has not been so straightforward, and there have been some pretty significant heat-related injuries as well. But the temperature alone doesn't account for it too, right? If the temperature is high and not necessarily extreme, but what the person's been doing is prolonged exposure, or they're at higher risk, or they're doing some intense activity, you can get heat-related, pretty significant heat-related illnesses too, even when the weather isn't necessarily, that temperature number isn't necessarily that high.
No, for sure. That's a good point. Can you talk about who's most at risk? I would imagine it, impacts everybody, but I'm sure there are some people or different groups that kind of could be more susceptible to this sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So the typical, young, healthy adult with no major medical conditions generally do really well as long as you listen to the, signs and symptoms of your body. Get inside when you feel like it, making sure, you're staying protected with your skin and staying hydrated. Most of the time, those things are adequate for your, regular, normal, healthy adult person. However, very young people and older people as well don't have that ability in their bodies necessarily to protect themselves or regulate their own bodies. Internally, it's generally the hypothalamus portion of the brain that regulates temperature. And so when we feel hot, when our body receives that signal that the temperature is rising, we sweat, we are able to get our blood vessels dilate to try to release some of that heat. And for the most part, that's a great, cooling mechanism. But, older people and the very young have a difficult time doing that. On the other side of it too, we have, our homeless population and also those with mental health illnesses as well. And if they're either unable to get somewhere cool or unable to have access to, hydration or skin protection methods, or just can't mentally figure out how to do these things or don't know to do those things, these people are at very high risk as well.
Absolutely. For me, you mentioned children as well. I'm a mom. I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I think about the car seat in the back seat and how hot it gets. And even if you have, a newer car, sometimes there's not vents in the back. And so anyway, I'm thinking about how I can keep my kids safe and whether we're in the car, outside, playing on the playground. I know staying hydrated is important. How much water is enough? And what are some other things we can kind of do to making sure that we're cooling ourselves off or, just staying hydrated?
Yeah, so there are a lot of numbers floating around out there on how much water somebody should drink. Some of them are weight-based, but I think the most important thing is to listen to your body. So, before you go outside, make sure you're preparing for that and already starting the hydration process so that you get ahead of it. But definitely any signs of, dry mouth, your urine is darker, or, you just feel more tired, or, even a little bit lightheaded. Those are already signs that you're in kind of the mild dehydration phase. And so you really need to get ahead of the water. And in general, water is sufficient unless somebody is heavily sweating and losing a lot of electrolytes really quickly. And in that case, some of those electrolyte drinks can help improve the efficiency of rehydration.
And at what point does somebody know, okay, hey, I recognize signs, I need to take a step back, drink more water, get in the shade, versus I need to go to the emergency room and see a Dr. Yang, for example? What are the differences? How do we know when it's getting a little more extreme?
Yeah, so for the most part, heat exhaustion is something that can be managed, sometimes with the help of, friends and family. But most of the time, your usual dehydration, feeling unwell, heat exhaustion, can be managed without a trip to the emergency room. That includes things like, getting to a cool location as quickly as possible. Evaporative cooling is very effective. So if in addition to the sweat you're already producing, spraying someone with water and then getting them in front of a fan, that kind of evaporation effect is great for cooling. Putting ice packs in areas that have kind of blood vessels that come right up to the skin to help your internal body release some of that heat. So areas like the armpits or the groin or the neck, or even the wrists are really great for that as well. So most of the time after this, drinking water, remaining in that cool environment for a while, people feel significantly better and can go back to their, normal day. But if that isn't working, then that's the time to go and get some help. Or if it's so severe to the point where somebody's confused, not acting quite right, they seem kind of out of it, maybe they're hallucinating even, something's mentally wrong, then definitely get them straight to the ER at that point.
And before I let you go, are there any, heat safety or heat related myths that you wish people would stop believing or may not be as true as we hear about or think?
I mean, I think the most common thing we hear about is just that somebody thought it just couldn't happen to them, right? They're fine. They're a healthy person, so couldn't possibly happen to me. And not preparing for it and not thinking about it is usually when people get into trouble. But as long as you do think about it and prepare for it, and it's a head to toe process. It's not just making sure you have water, but also dressing appropriately, having a wide brimmed hat, wearing loose light clothing, good breathable footwear, socks, sunscreen. I mean, all sorts of things all play into preventing heat related injuries. And as long as you think about those things and, don't assume that just because you're baseline healthy doesn't mean this couldn't possibly happen to you. As long as you protect yourself, most people will do just fine.
Awesome. Very important and timely tips, Dr. Yang. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And things are only going to get hotter from here. Let's be honest. We live in the Mid-South, right? So
Yep.
thank you for these helpful
And the
tips. We
humidity,
appreciate
that
it.
adds to
Oh,
it for sure.
I know it. It is brutal out there. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll talk to you again soon, sometime this summer.
Sounds
Thank you
good.
so much.
Yeah,
All
sounds
right.
great.
Have a good
All
one.
right. Bye. You too.
Well, thanks for joining us here on the Digital Desk. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Addison Bentley. Heading for your afternoon, we are looking at those temperatures climbing to the 90s. Starting off with some fog this morning, that's going to lift, giving way to clear skies. But got some rain chances for the afternoon. I only suspect this to be in our northern counties and our eastern counties, as you could have the potential for a downpour. Heading into tonight, we are looking at our temperatures dropping into the mid-70s, a warm night in store. A little bit of a breeze, but that's not going to help too much. Partly cloudy conditions. Storm chances continue for the east heading into tonight. But as we look into the rest of the week, check this out. Feel like temperatures increasing into your Monday and Tuesday. Those feel like temperatures could be upwards of 110 degrees by that time, by your Tuesday. A little bit of a drop heading into your Wednesday, and that's the positive note that you can look forward to, but not too much of a positive note. We're still going to be at our average temperatures. Looking at today for those rain chances that could pop up for the afternoon, starting us off in the lower 80s, some downpours possible heading into our northern counties and the eastern counties. Most of you will remain dry throughout the day, so if you have any plans, you can keep them, and that's a good thing. Cloud coverage is going to begin to increase just a tad bit heading into the afternoon, where again we could see the potential for a pop-up shower or thunderstorm in our eastern counties closer to Jackson, McNairy, Hardeman County, even looking a bit closer to Dyer County. By your 6 o'clock hour, we should be mostly dry as we drop slowly into the mid-70s, like I said, tonight and tomorrow. We're into about 92 degrees for Friday. Now, I don't extremely just dissipate all the rain chances for your Friday, but again, could see some in the afternoon hours as we increase our temperatures throughout the day. Check that out. We're going to increase all the way to about 92, and that's our average from what we are seeing at this time of year. We saw the 80s last week with the rain chances increasing. Now we're kind of decreasing our rain chances and increasing our temperatures as you head into your Saturday at 94 degrees, a warm day in store. 94 overall in Memphis, feels like 106 degrees, 94 in Oxford, 104 degrees, and even checking that out, 104 in Corinth. So the heat is building. Heat dome, it's just continuing to build as we head into this weekend and into the following week. Remember to check on your pets and neighbors as the heat index values get upwards of 110 at time. Sunday is pretty much copy and paste to Saturday at 96 degrees heading into your Monday, and that's not the warmest we're going to get. Check that out, 109 it feels like 107 closer to Dyersburg, 106 in Jackson. But look at this. Tuesday, we're looking at a high temperature of 98 degrees. This is definitely a day for your Monday and Tuesday. Drink plenty of water, limit your outdoor activity. Like I said, that HVAC system, it's going to be a little bit harder to keep up. So if you're stepping indoors, it's still going to be a little bit more warm than you would experience as we are hitting 90 today. As we head into your Wednesday again, 20% chance of rain. I suspect a potential for showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon all these days, but most of you will remain dry, and that is going to continue to be the positive note, except when we head in those temperatures Monday and Tuesday at 96 degrees and 98 for your Tuesday.
All right now you are taking a live look. This is our high five camera over Midtown Memphis, the Action News 5 studios. Of course, as you just heard, Addison, another extremely warm day here in the Mid-South. We're going to get another check of the weather a little later on in the next hour. In the meantime, we're going to talk about some entertainment news on
Well, thanks for joining us here on the Digital Desk.
Thursday. JK, that was Addison. Let's get to me here. This is live TV for you, okay? Here we go. All right, here I am. We're going to talk about some entertainment news on this Thursday. The much anticipated epic The Odyssey finally hits theaters this weekend, including some sneak peek previews tonight. Director Christopher Nolan's creation comes from Universal Pictures, which is NBC's sister company. So that meant the cast made their rounds at shows, of course, and in the network's 30 Rock headquarters this week in New York to talk about that film. Here is Mark Barger with what some of them had to say. Let's take a look.
No one could stand between me and home. Not even the gods.
Telling the epic story of the Odyssey.
I really mean it when I say that I have never seen anything like this before.
Turned into an epic movie-making experience.
3, 2, 1, action.
It was such an opportunity. It was the role of a lifetime.
Help me go home.
It was the hardest, most challenging movie I've ever been a part of, but it was hard for everybody.
Matt Damon led an all-star ensemble of actors who filmed in 6 countries.
Some of the locations I feel so lucky to be able to have explored because I otherwise maybe wouldn't have even known they existed.
Settings that provided the backdrop for Homer's story of King Odysseus. victorious in battle.
Let's go home.
But facing a perilous 10-year journey back to a family under siege.
Ithaca's king is coming back.
No, he's not.
I would say this whether or not I was in it. It's a spectacular film.
Anne Hathaway plays the king's wife, and she salutes director Christopher Nolan's ambition.
It's just an amazing experience being on his set because as brilliant as he is, like as amazing as that mind is, his heart is just as powerful.
Nolan surmounted numerous technical obstacles in making The Odyssey the first feature film shot entirely in IMAX.
And because Chris does everything in camera, if you see 1,000 people in a battle, there are 1,000 people there. There's no computer.
No CGI.
There's no CGI.
IMAX cameras are 3 times sharper than regular digital cameras, which meant, among other things, no fake beards.
In these storm scenes, there's a boat, spraying us with fire hoses. So, those never would have lasted. Like, everyone just had to grow out a real beard for it to survive.
Damon's castmates say enduring the film's arduous 6-month shoot was easier because of the tone Nolan and Damon created on set.
No one could ever complain because no one was working harder than Matt. And Matt always had a smile on his face.
Directing is by far the hardest job. He's got the most responsibility, the most pressure, and he is looking like a drowned rat.
On a shared journey aimed at making The Odyssey an epic success. Mark Barker, NBC Entertainment.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Parker King. We have a special guest with us from Regional 1 Hospital. We're here to talk about the renaming of a certain syndrome and the reason behind it. So polycystic ovary syndrome is the topic. It's getting a name change, and I'm not a medical professional by any stretch of the matter, but my friend here, Laura Hemel, is with Regional 1 here to talk about the renaming of polycystic ovary syndrome. We're going to talk about the new name, the reason why. First off, Dr. Hemel, tell us a little bit about your specialty, and then we'll get into this syndrome. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. I am an OBGYN academic specialist, so I both work for Regional 1, but I'm also an assistant professor for the UTHSC Department of OBGYN. So we take care of a host of women's health issues.
Got it. And so why the name change? So quick note, guys, the name of polycystic ovary syndrome is being changed to polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome. And you're going to be able to get into the actual medical details that give us an understanding why this name was changed. And so I want to go into that. Was this too broad of a name? What was the reason behind this particular name change that we're addressing here?
So the name change was to address the misnomer that is polycystic ovarian syndrome. So it doesn't just have to do with the ovaries, it has other metabolic potential consequences and risks. And so providers and patients internationally were surveyed for the name change. This was published in May of this year through The Lancet. They interviewed over 14,000 providers and patients, and 84% of them agreed with the name change.
Okay, so a name change is significant, especially if someone has had this before. And so how will this impact patients in the future? Like, what benefit does it serve to patients who are now diagnosed with this?
Yes, it's both an exciting time for women's health, but also can be confusing because PCOS is so widely known. So the hope is that this improves time to diagnosis because you don't have to look a certain way to have PCOS. So typically your OBGYN may see these patients if you start having changes in your menstrual cycles or concerns with infertility, and we find the syndrome then. But this also can be managed by your PCP and endocrinologist, can be multidisciplinary because of the increased risks of hypertension, type 2 diabetes, elevated cholesterol, infertility, uterine cancer, sleep apnea are all risks associated. And so by improving time to diagnosis, we're hoping that down the road that can improve patient outcomes.
You're segueing perfectly into my questions about symptoms, for someone who might be on the lookout for this. So what are we talked about briefly those symptoms, but how common is this? We don't want people to think that just because they have sleep apnea or if they have high cholesterol that they might automatically be slated into this diagnosis. So how common is this? And, if you do see these symptoms, should that mean setting up an appointment with your OB?
Yes, of course. So this is actually the most common syndrome for women of reproductive age. Between the literature, you see between 7 and 15% of reproductive age women have this diagnosis. But we use the diagnostic criteria called the Rotterdam criteria, and you need 2 of the following 3 symptoms. So the first is signs of anovulation or not releasing an egg at the time of your cycle. This can be seen through missing cycles, or we can do some lab values to check that. The second would be signs of a hormone imbalance, and this is increased testosterone or the male hormone. And then the third is if we see more cyst on your ovary than we would expect. And that's where the polycystic ovary portion came in. But you only need 2 of the 3 to be put in this diagnosis or this syndrome.
Got it. And so the next question just involves treatment, care. What is that next step? You go to the OB, you check 2 of those 3 boxes at the very least, you receive this diagnosis. What is the next step in terms of medical practice in your field to treat this?
Yes, so it does depend on patient goals if we're trying to optimize for potential pregnancy and things, or if we are working to manage symptoms. So the first is maintaining a normal weight, and that is something that you can talk about with your OBGYN, with your PCP or a nutritionist. The other options include hormonal pills that help either with the hormonal imbalance, regulate cycles, protect your uterine lining. And then if pregnancy is a goal, there are different medications that we can do to help with that. And then screening for those increased risk factors that you have.
Got it. Just a final question. So and again, not a medical professional, so some of this is genuine curiosity. Is there still going to be a polycystic ovary syndrome, or where this is like a new name that's been taken out of that because you were afraid of the misnomers that were associated with it? Or does that diagnosis go away altogether and we're now under this new umbrella of the polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome?
So this will be the new name for polycystic ovarian syndrome. Same syndrome, new names, and it hopefully will open the door for more research and more monitoring and things for women's health.
Okay, Dr. Hemel, we've covered a lot here in the last 10 minutes or so. So if someone's just hopping on and they want the elevator pitch right now, the reason why this name is being changed, the syndrome is being changed, and if you're in that age gap of women able to be giving birth, what's that elevator pitch from a medical standpoint about this new name change for polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome? I'm trying to get it in as much as I can.
So the new name change from PCOS to polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome, it is a lot, PMOS, is to better reflect the syndrome and its risk factors and how your medical providers can help in a multidisciplinary way to help manage those risks.
Perfect. Dr. Laura Hemel with Regional 1, thank you so much for coming on. Like you said, one of the most common, if not the most common syndrome that you see, and a new name change and a reason why I think is going to be beneficial to our area and hopefully anyone else that sees this interview. We thank you for coming on. We're always thankful for Regional 1 providing us the best medical partners to talk about these issues. Thank you again.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, I don't hear you. Let me make sure. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh,
I can
yes,
hear you now.
yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Hi, Laura. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm so good. I'm sorry my hotel internet was being wonky. I'm sorry I'm
No,
late.
you're fine. We're going to get started in just a second. Is your last name Stracco?
Stracco. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right. And can you tell me who you play, your role?
So I play mostly Alva Belmont, but then I also play Phoebe Byrne for one moment.
Perfect. Okay, we'll get started in just a second.
Great.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Arianna Poindexter here, trying to get my bearings, but we have a really excited interview for you today. So before the new Broadway season officially kicks off this fall, Memphis audiences, they're going to get a very special weekend engagement of the Tony Award-winning musical SUFFS. And joining us now to talk more about this is Laura Stracco. She is performing in this incredible performance. Laura, thank you so much for being here with us today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, the concept of this is so interesting. Tell us all the things. So if people aren't familiar, tell us a little bit about the show, the history, and what we can expect.
So this show is an incredible look into the passage of the 19th Amendment, which was ratified now back in 1920, and it's a very exciting time in the movement. We're coming in kind of at a late point of attack. The movement's been happening for 65 years, and we're kind of seeing the buildup of the old way of doing things versus the new way of doing things, and the energy behind all of that, and how tensions arise, and how everybody kind of wants the same goal, but we're moving towards it in different ways, and the excitement that comes from all of that.
That's really interesting. Tell us, obviously this is, a musical that was, several years ago, but I feel like it may still resonate with audiences today. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. It's so relevant, a story like this at a time where the country can feel divided, a time when we can feel like we're maybe wanting different things. But this story is all about everyday people doing the thing that they believe is correct, the thing that they believe is just, and fighting for that, and fighting for each other, no matter what the cost. And I love seeing how that resonates with our audiences today, because they understand, they see, they feel the call to action, they feel the call to civic duty. They understand that everyday people can make such a difference if they do a service that they feel called to do, especially in efforts for other people and humanity at large. It's an incredible lesson. This story will always be relevant, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And, of course, as you mentioned, this story highlights so many incredible women. Of course, Ida B. Wells, which is huge here in Memphis. Was there a particular moment or a person in history that sort of surprised you when you first learned about it, or that maybe you didn't know that kind of stuck with you and will maybe always stick with you?
I was surprised to learn about Phoebe Byrne, one of the women who I play. And, a lot of people think she is just a farmer's widow, small town gal living in Tennessee. And she was a college educated woman. She chose the life and the path that she chose. She wanted to run the family farm. She was she was incredibly inspired by her son, Harry Byrne, who, of course, cast the final vote to ratify the 19th Amendment in Tennessee, in Nashville. And I was really surprised to learn about her. And of course, like so many iconic women like Mary Church Terrell, Ida B. Wells, Carrie Chapman Catt, Alice Paul, all the women who lead our story, and how integral they were to the success of all women, not just white women, right? Because white women were really the only benefiters of the 19th Amendment, and how everyone fought in their own way for the thing that they knew was right.
I love that. You mentioned, of course, Ida B. Wells and Mary Church Terrell. And of course, there's the connection here to Memphis. So how does it feel to bring a show to a city that has so many ties to these women?
Whew. It is such an honor. We are coming behind you. Your ancestors are behind you. They're all the proof you need. Shayna Taub's incredible words. And if you just keep marching, keep going, don't give up, and join the people around you in that fight, you cannot lose. It's one of my favorite moments in the show because we get to really have this direct address to the audience to say, please join us and we'll do this together.
I love that. Such an important message. Of course, the show looks back at the fight for equality. And as we've been talking about, it reminds us that the work is not over, right? What sort of conversations do you hope that people have once they leave the theater, or things that maybe spark thought that maybe they haven't thought about, or, maybe deeper thought? What are some things you hope people take away?
I really hope this show sparks conversation for every household, for every friend group, for every family. My hope is that people learn something. I hope that they are like, oh, I didn't know that there was this tension. I didn't know that these people didn't get along. I didn't know that we were fighting in different ways. I hope that they see the thing that I always want to highlight about this movement is just the Black women who were fighting for something that they really did not think they were going to see in their lifetimes, and a lot of them didn't. And how much of a voice box the white women had, and how much sway and pull they had, even with the Wilson administration, and how much harder the Black women had to fight. And so I hope people lean into the discomfort of the racial tension in this show. I hope that they are inspired by that, and to just kind of like pull back the curtain and talk about it. Talk about everything that makes us uncomfortable. Talk about everything that feels unfair and unjust, because there was so much of it. And in the face of that, there were Black women who were fighting anyway, in spite of all of that. And I find such incredible inspiration and further call to duty from that. And I hope that people see age differences. I hope they see someone or something that reminds them of themselves, or someone that they love. And I hope that they laugh and cry and dance and play with us, and see that we can do all of those things together.
And if anyone is watching this interview and they say, well, I'm not much of a history buff, I don't know, I'm not really a musical person, what's something that you would say to them to maybe encourage them to, hey, just give it a chance and to check out SUFFS?
Yeah, you don't have to be a history buff to enjoy this. A lot of my friends and family that have come to see this are not like huge history fans. It's a story about everyone's voice being heard. It's a story about how we contribute to a better life. It's a story about, if you have a woman or women in your lives, you're gonna love this show. It's a show for everyone. It's a show I hope people bring their kiddos to, because it's about amplification and lifting as we climb, as Ida and Mary say. And it's a story, it's a generational love letter that we can make a promise to those that come after us, that we'll leave it a little bit better than we found it, and we hope you do the same.
Awesome. And Laura, tell us again when people can see it and where.
Yeah, we're gonna be downtown Memphis at the Orpheum. We're gonna be there July 31st through August 2nd. We've got 4 shows there, and I do hope that you will come and spend some time with us. Come march with us. Come see what it's all about. I promise you'll laugh. I promise you'll have a good time. You'll probably laugh at me.
I love it. Laura, let me tell you, you're doing your job here, because you are convincing me and so many others. Like, you make me excited to want to check it out, the way you talk about the history and your passion for it. I love it. Thank you so much for being here and for talking about it.
My absolute pleasure. I can't wait to see you, Memphis. I love you.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. We appreciate it. You have a good one.
You too. Bye.
All right, everyone, at 10:16 is the time on this Thursday. You are watching the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We're going to take a look at some of the top stories and headlines that we are following here on Action News 5 on this Thursday morning. So first, we were following some breaking news if you were joining us for Action News 5 from 5 to 7 a.m. this morning. Memphis police, they responded to a shooting on Travis Road near T.O. Fuller State Park shortly before 2 this morning. We're still working to find out details at this hour if anyone was hurt or whether officers have a suspect. Of course, as soon as we get that information, we will pass that along to you. And 2 men will be in court this morning after allegedly shooting a Memphis father outside of a Burger King after his son was accused of stealing his Apple Watch. So Dale Towns and Trevor Young, they have a bail hearing this morning. That started at 9 a.m. Police say they confronted the victim's son outside the Crosstown Burger King. He then went inside to get his father, who came out and punched Towns. Officers say that's when Towns shot the father, who is now recovering in non-critical condition. Towns is charged with attempted murder, and Young is charged with aggravated assault. And the city of Memphis is declining to comment on a potential ethics investigation into a city council member. We have since learned that Councilman J.B. Smiley and Administrator Ashley Hayes, they are not under investigation. We also asked if Councilwoman Jana Swearingen Washington is under investigation, which the city's ethics officer says she's not authorized to disclose. However, City Attorney Tanera Gibson has recused herself and hired attorney Brian Fawnin for this investigation. And the family of an Ole Miss football player who was killed outside of Cordova home in 2025, they have filed a wrongful death lawsuit. So the civil suit was filed by Corey Adams Jr.'s father against homeowners Calvin and Julia Wooten and the party's alleged organizer Tyler Wooten. A subdivision homeowners association member is also named in that suit. According to the complaint, the pool party at the home on Fern and Glade Cove on July 19th, 2025 had more than 100 people in attendance. The lawsuit claims the Wootens allowed that party to take place and failed to limit attendance, provide security, or screen for weapons. Adams' death remains unsolved. FBI Nashville says a reward for more than $20,000 is being offered for anyone with answers. And courtrooms at 201 Poplar, they will be closed again today for almost a week straight. So the Shelby County General Sessions Courts and Memphis Municipal Court, specifically on the lower third level of the building. Some hearings, like in custody arraignments and bail hearings, they will still happen. Crews are still making repairs from flooding late last month. Despite being closed, they are conducting some business depending on the case and the courtroom division. And a grand jury will investigate the death of Nolan Wells. He is the teenager who died on Horn Island earlier this month. Now, the district attorney tells the Wells family that she will turn the case over to a grand jury once investigators finish collecting any and all evidence. Wells' family attorney Ben Crump says the meeting with the DA was respectful, but stresses the family still does not have all the answers that they're looking for. Wells' homegoing celebration is set for Monday at Center Point Church in Ocean Springs. And a former Collierville police officer accused of attacking his girlfriend, he could lose his police certification today. So back in March, we told you about David Haley, who you see on your screen here. He was arrested for domestic assault in Fayette County. Deputies say Haley and his girlfriend were drinking, then got into an argument. They say Haley left, came back, and the couple started attacking each other. Haley resigned later that month. And Memphis police, they are searching for the suspect in a deadly hit and run involving a pedestrian. Investigators say this happened on March 23rd. Going to show you some video here. This happened around 2 a.m. last year on March 23rd at North Hollywood Street. Investigators believe the vehicle involved is a black Nissan Murano SUV with temporary tags, tinted windows, a broken or partially missing headlight, and damages on the passenger side. If you have any information, you were asked to call Crime Stoppers. That number is 901-528-CASH. And a few Memphis Shelby County school students were suspended last year and more students were in the classroom. That's some good news. That's according to district officials who presented this new data to the school board on Tuesday. In the 2024-2025 school year, there were nearly 62,000 disciplinary referrals. Last school year, that dropped to just over 37,000. The district also saw a drop in suspensions over the last 2 years. And looking at the attendance rate for Memphis Shelby County schools, it has not really changed that much. In the 2023 and 2024 school years, the rate held at 91.4%, and last year that number climbed to just under 92%. Meanwhile, the Arkansas Department of Health says 16 cases of the parasite that causes severe intestinal issues have been reported in Arkansas. Now, pseudosporiasis is the infection that spreads across the country. It is infecting 34 states at the moment and more than 7,000 people so far. If you are infected with the parasite, it can take 2 to 14 days to get sick. And doctors recommend that you stay away from bagged salad completely. But if you still want to eat vegetables, you should clean them and cook them to at least 150 degrees. Meanwhile, R&B singer R. Kelly, he is requesting help from the Trump White House. He has formally asked President Donald Trump to commute his 30-year sentence. Now, Kelly is behind bars in North Carolina right now for his 2021 and 2022 convictions on sex trafficking, racketeering, child pornography, and enticement charges. An attorney also made a public plea for a presidential pardon, but one was never formally filed. There's no word yet from the Trump administration on that request. House Republicans unveiled a nearly $95 billion emergency spending package to cover the costs tied to the Iran war. So the proposal includes up to $73 billion for the Pentagon and national security agencies. It also includes $12 billion in aid for struggling farmers. The plan is expected to face resistance because of the lack of spending cut proposals to offset the cost. And with the war in the Middle East continuing, oil prices are climbing back up. So how does that impact you? Let's take a look at some of the gas prices that we are seeing nationally and, of course, across the Mid-South as well. So nationally, the average for a gallon of gas this morning is $3.94. That is a 9-cent increase from yesterday. Tennessee drivers are paying around $3.55 a gallon. In Mississippi, it's at $3.49, and in Arkansas, drivers are paying about $3.55 a gallon. And President Trump, he will talk about free and fair elections today. This is going to be in a primetime speech that is scheduled for tonight. His administration is zeroing in on voting machine security, along with alleged foreign efforts to influence elections. Midterm elections are less than 4 months away. And the president's speech to the nation is set for 8 p.m. tonight. All right, looking ahead to early voting, which is kicking off in Tennessee tomorrow, and it is a very full ballot here in the state, or on the ballot, I should say. So among the many elections are county positions like county mayor and county sheriff, and you also have the primaries for governor, U.S. Senate, U.S. House, and other state positions as well. There are also several suburban races depending on where you live. You have until August 1st to early vote, and remember, you can go to any precinct that is open. Election day is August 6th. Well, civil rights icon Ida B. Wells will be honored today. Mayor Paul Young and Memphis Parks will reopen Ida B. Wells Plaza. Now, 2 years, that's going to be at the corner of Beale and 4th, which was renamed for Wells back in 2022. 2 years before that, the city unveiled a statue in her honor. Wells, a Holly Springs native, was the co-founder of the NAACP, co-owned a newspaper here in Memphis, and launched an anti-lynching crusade here in the Bluff City as well. All right, let's talk a little bit about sports. Memphis Grizzlies will wrap up their summer league schedule tonight versus the Atlanta Hawks. So in the last outing, the Grizzlies beat the Warriors 106-85. Memphis has a 2-1 record in Vegas, meaning a win could put them in the summer league playoff semifinals. Tip-off tonight versus the Hawks is set for 7 o'clock. So again, those are a look at some of the headlines that we are seeing right here on Action News 5 on this Thursday, 10:26 at the time. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back after this.
Well, thanks for joining us here on the Digital Desk. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Addison Bentley. Heading for your afternoon, we are looking at those temperatures climbing to the 90s. Starting off with some fog this morning, that's going to lift, giving way to clear skies, but got some rain chances for the afternoon. I only suspect this to be in our northern counties and our eastern counties, as you could have the potential for a downpour. Heading into tonight, we are looking at our temperatures dropping into the mid-70s, a warm night in store. A little bit of a breeze, but that's not going to help too much. Partly cloudy conditions. Storm chances continue for the east heading into tonight. But as we look into the rest of the week, check this out. Feel like temperatures increasing into your Monday and Tuesday. Those feel like temperatures could be upwards of 110 degrees by that time, by your Tuesday. A little bit of a drop heading into your Wednesday, and that's the positive note that you can look forward to, but not too much of a positive note. We're still going to be at our average temperatures. Looking at today for those rain chances that could pop up for the afternoon, starting us off in the lower 80s, some downpours possible heading into our northern counties and the eastern counties. Most of you will remain dry throughout the day, so if you have any plans, you can keep them, and that's a good thing. Cloud coverage is going to begin to increase just a tad bit heading into the afternoon, where again we could see the potential for a pop-up shower or thunderstorm in our eastern counties closer to Jackson, McNairy, Hardeman County, even looking a bit closer to Dyer County. By your 6 o'clock hour, we should be mostly dry as we drop slowly into the mid-70s, like I said, tonight and tomorrow. We're into about 92 degrees for Friday. Now, don't extremely just dissipate all the rain chances for your Friday, but again, could see some in the afternoon hours as we increase our temperatures throughout the day. Check that out. We're going to increase all the way to about 92, and that's our average from what we are seeing at this time of year. We saw the 80s last week with the rain chances increasing. Now we're kind of decreasing our rain chances and increasing our temperatures as you head into your Saturday at 94 degrees. A warm day in store. 94 overall in Memphis. Feels like 106 degrees. 94 in Oxford. 104 degrees. And even checking that out, 104 in Corinth. So the heat is building. Heat dome, it's just continuing to build as we head into this weekend and into the following week. Remember to check on your pets and neighbors as the heat index values get upwards of 110 at time. Sunday is pretty much copy and paste to Saturday at 96 degrees heading into your Monday, and that's not the warmest we're going to get. Check that out, 109 it feels like 107 closer to Dyersburg, 106 in Jackson. But look at this. Tuesday, we're looking at a high temperature of 98 degrees. This is definitely a day for your Monday and Tuesday. Drink plenty of water, limit your outdoor activity. Like I said, that HVAC system, it's going to be a little bit harder to keep up. So if you're stepping indoors, it's still going to be a little bit more warm than you would experience as we are hitting 90 today. As we head into your Wednesday again, 20% chance of rain. I suspect a potential for showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon all these days, but most of you will remain dry. And that is going to continue to be the positive note, except when we head in those temperatures Monday and Tuesday at 96 degrees and 98 for your Tuesday.
And we have a very special interview coming up for you. This is the Branding Brunch. So this is a Memphis event helping professionals refresh their image, their brand. There's going to be photos, brunch, of course, networking, makeup, music, so much more. It's happening August 30th at the James Lee House. And joining me now to talk more about it is Esme Kyles. Esme, welcome.
Hi, Arianna. Thank you so much.
All right, first of all, let me get my bearings over here. All right, first of all, I just have to brag on Esme because I do know Esme personally, and just go ahead and get that out the way. She's a fabulous photographer who, she's basically that girl, okay? If you take a look at her Instagram page, you will just see how beautiful all of her work is. And so now she is, doing something new with it, or maybe not new. You tell us about the Branding Brunch, Esme.
Yeah, and it's kind of relatively new. I mean, obviously, when I worked with you those years ago, I was not really talking about branding. I was mainly a wedding photographer. I did a lot of lifestyle photography. But I really have always connected with the story and people's journeys. And I think that's where branding sort of kind of inched its way into my heart. And I started putting together these branding events where people could come and get their photos done, branding photos, headshots, what have you. And back at the end of 2025, I really felt like this needed to take on a little bit of a deeper meaning, not just photography. And so that's how the Branding Brunch was born. And our first of its kind. The first event of its kind happened in February of just this year. So this one coming up is the second.
I love that. All right. So how did the first one go? Is there anything different from this new event that's going to be the summer edition compared to the February event?
Yeah, it's going to take on pretty much the same concept, the same format. It simply is a photography and networking experience. Simply, put a person who just happens to need branding photos and headshots can actually come and take advantage of the entire experience that the event will offer. So you will have the photography aspect. You will have content creation. We will have an on-site makeup artist to get you all dialed up and ready to go for your camera shots. And then we'll also have a DJ. We'll have a delicious brunch provided by Big Mama and Granny's Catering. And so you're going to have a lot of different elements that will go into the event. But one of the biggest takeaways, in my opinion, is the element of having sponsors there. So our sponsors are handpicked because what they do is they bring a wealth of information for you as a business owner, whether it is for your personal styling or for your coaching. We have someone coming in that's going to be representing a banking partner that's going to talk about small business loans. We have someone who's a brand strategist that pretty much can help you run your social media and help you elevate your brand. We just have all these different players that come into the event, into the area, and they will be on hand. And so they'll be able to pour into our participants. And that was one of the biggest takeaways from the first one, was that they were walking into literally just an environment of positivity, empowerment. They felt like there were like-minded people in the room with them, so that they could literally walk up to anybody there and strike up conversation, exchange business cards, connect with them on social media, sign up for different newsletters they have, take advantage of their services, book appointments. And so that's pretty much what happened at the last one. This one is definitely going to be very similar. The venue, of course, is the beautiful James Lee House. It is Southern chic mixed with vintage glam. It's a beautiful backdrop, and it's perfect for a summertime event such as this.
I love that. And I was looking at some of the video that you sent us over, and the food looks incredible. The makeup looks incredible. I mean, the venue, it's really going to be a time. What do you say to people who say, one, I haven't really started my business yet, or, being an entrepreneur, I want to come, but I'm also a little nervous in front of the camera. So I know you specialize in this because you just make people feel so comfortable. But, for people who may be hesitant because of that, what would you say to them?
I would say, I'm not only the client, I'm the president. As far as awkward in front of a camera, I am that girl that's awkward in front of the camera. And so I come from a place of trying to just ease a person and kind of let them loosen up and just feel at ease. And so I appreciate that you mentioned that, because I feel like that's one of my gifts. Is that I can totally just make you at ease in front of a camera. I think the most important thing is just to remember to be yourself. And I do want to touch on the comment you made about people who have not quite started a business. We actually have worked with people that have personal brands, and we do have someone signed up right now that is not a business owner. She is simply someone that is her own brand. And so we had someone like that at the last event, as a matter of fact. They came in, they had an idea, we sat down with them, and that's another thing that we do is with our branding clients, we sit down and we strategize, and we decide which way are your photos going to go, which way is your content creation going to go, how can we kind of, send your message out there, how can we help you represent your brand. And so that way, when you come into the event, you're not just coming in and okay, you got to tell me how to pose. You got to tell me where to put my hands. You know exactly what we're going to do. Even with our content creation aspect, which is part of the experience, the content creators there, we have a bunch of prompts that we actually share with the potential client, because that way they kind of have an idea that, okay, this is what I'm going to do for these photos, but then this is what I'm going to do for my content. And so they kind of understand that they're two different things, but they come equipped. So then that way, when they walk in there, they know exactly what they're going to be going for, what their photos are going to hopefully be able to translate for them. And the proof is in the pudding. I mean, those photos come out and it's exactly what that person was hoping for and wanting to capture.
I know that's so helpful, and I'm sure people are so grateful for that direction, because sometimes you don't know what to do, and it really helps, you know, with launching, whether that's a personal brand or a business. Speaking of personal brand, I feel like there's lots of talk about that in recent years. Why is investing in your personal brand so important, you think, especially now with like content or whatever it is?
I think a lot of it is just visibility. It's a very saturated marketplace. And if you're not necessarily selling anything, but you are, like you mentioned, a personal brand, you know, how you represent yourself says a lot. I mean, I remember growing up, my mom would tell me, you know, don't walk out of this house with your hair unkempt or, you know, looking all disheveled or wrinkled or stuff like that. Appearance and how you represent yourself is super important. And it doesn't just go into your visuals, it also goes into your activities, it goes into your message, it goes into your purpose. And so, whatever you are putting out there into the universe should be represented well. And so, a brand, for instance, my brand, even though I am a photographer and I shoot weddings, I shoot branding, and you know, you probably know a dozen, you know, wedding photographers or a dozen headshot photographers. So how do I stand out in that market? Well, I have to come to the table with something else. In my opinion, my brand is the energy, the positivity, the personality. I want to come on set. I want to tell your story, but I also want you to remember me. And so I have to represent that brand in a variety of different ways. So then you have to ask yourself, what does your brand say about you? But it's so important. We definitely need to stand out. We definitely need to make our mark. We definitely need to impress. And a lot of different elements goes into that. But one of the biggest ones is the visuals, because the first thing they see when they come to your social media is you. The first thing they see when they come to their website is you. So you are that brand. And so you have to represent it well.
Absolutely. All right. So people who are watching this are like, okay, I'm sold, I'm in. Are there limited spots? How does that work? And what do they need to know?
I wish we could just welcome everyone. I wish this was like a ticketed event that you just go to the door and buy your ticket and walk in. But no, there are limited spots. This venue is not just a huge, large outdoor venue, so there is a capacity limit there. And then the other thing is that some of these sessions run 30 minutes, and so there are a handful of those. There are some that are just 15 minutes, and then there are some that are simply just like 5-minute headshot slots. So there's a variety of different options there. The website will tell you what the current availability is for each of those. There are some people who are coming for the entire experience, which is the VIP experience. Those are 30-minute sessions, and we have only 7 slots for those. And 3 of them, I think 3 or 4 of them are already taken. So we do have some room for those. And then we also have, like I said, those headshot slots and the reason I opened up headshot slots was because I want people to come down and enjoy the event. I want people to come away with something visually. And so they will have their headshot updated, but I want them to come and have brunch and meet our sponsors and mix and mingle and connect and enjoy the networking aspect of it. And maybe, like you mentioned before, you might be hesitant, or you might be a little nervous, or maybe you just had a branding session done, or maybe you just had a headshot session done. Just come down, take advantage of the headshot and brunch experience. So then that way you can come in, enjoy the entire experience, get an updated headshot, and then walk away with a lot of other things, other connections, meeting other people. You never know what doors can open when you get in the room and you connect with people. You just never know.
Absolutely. Definitely more than the photos. All right. So it is the Branding Brunch Summer Edition, Sunday, August 30th at the James Lee House. Is there anything else we didn't touch on that you want to add, that you want people to know?
We are partnering with New Memphis. Now, anyone that knows about New Memphis, they are a wonderful organization that believes in the betterment of people, which leads to a better Memphis. And they have so many different initiatives. They have their LDI program. They have so many different services that are offered to not just small businesses, but also even college students. And so to have them partnering with us is an amazing thing. They truly believe in the purpose of what we're doing. And so we are going to have them, we hope to have them on site as well at the event, but they will definitely be involved with our promotions. And then we have just an amazing group of sponsors this go round. We have Kim Newsom, which is a stylist. We have Tammy Ross, who's the owner of Residence by Ross, Cecilia Fay, who's a brand strategist, Labrita Morrow, who represents Southern Bankport Partners. The list goes on. So we have so many amazing sponsors that will be present and that will be offering their services. And so we really want you to come down, if nothing else for your headshot, but come down and take advantage of the entire experience. And I also want to mention our vendor partners. Like I mentioned, Big Mamas and Grannies. Our makeup artist is Imani Nathaniel. Our DJ is DJ Sledro. And content creation is my in-house team, Incredibly Captured. So we have a house full of people that are going to be ready for you. So we just can't wait.
Awesome. That sounds like a great time. A little bit of something for everyone, right? That's incredible.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Esme, for chatting with us, for creating this, for sharing more about this. We're going to put all of this information on our website, actionnews5.com, for people who want to know more and who want to sign up. So thank you again for your time. And it was great to see you.
It was good to see you. As always, you look beautiful. Thank you for having me.
Well, the show must go on. That credo was on display by a tough as nails DoorDash driver who still made her delivery even after being struck by a car during a high-speed police chase. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at this.
Watch a DoorDash driver in Texas get hit by a suspect fleeing from police and then get right up and finish her delivery. A Houston area resident's security cameras captured the moment the DoorDash driver pulled up to a curb as sirens could be heard wailing. Just as the driver exits her vehicle, a suspect leading a police pursuit slams into the parked car, colliding with the woman and knocking her over. The suspect takes off on foot, continuing the chase. The DoorDash driver pops up, seemingly unfazed, and finishes her job, delivering the food to the customer's doorstep. KTRK reports the suspect was wanted on a burglary warrant and was arrested. The delivery driver escaped the close call with only minor aches and pains. By the way, her name, appropriately enough, is Miracle. It's a miracle nobody was injured in this newly released video from July 4th showing what authorities say were fireworks being shot from a moving vehicle on a Florida highway. St. Johns County Sheriff's Office air units caught the dangerous display and followed the alleged offending vehicle for miles before deputies pulled it over. An arrest was made at the scene, but according to WJXT, the charge was later dropped. The Sheriff's Office still shared the video to warn others, saying fireworks are a fun way to celebrate, but only when handled safely and responsibly. Finally, this last one from the air up there is anything but boring, but you wouldn't know it to look at it. Images from airline tracking website Flight Radar 24 suggest a pilot, who the airline says was executing a 2-hour test flight over the UK, wasn't digging it, scrawling the words "I'm bored" into the sky via their flight pattern. An airline operations manager told the BBC, bored or not, the pilot's gag required some pretty skillful flying. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.